course.
But we do now.
Okay.
All right. So, we'll just start that all over again. Why don't we?
Yeah, sure.
I am the mullet man. He is the Canadan. And now we have sound. Because computers are stupid, and sometimes they knock your microphone off for absolutely no reason.
And sound is important.
Very important.
When we're trying to give you fantasy advice.
Reading lips is awesome, but it's really difficult to do when you have me with my West Virginia slang and my Canadan friend here.
Yeah, it doesn't quite work out.
What we were referencing was the absolute disaster that was Cam Akers, and that means we have to play this again.
A Festivus for the rest. And tell them all the ways they have disappointed you over the past year. Serenity now! Serenity now! Let's rumble! The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grapes. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
I believe the airing of grievances can start off with shit-ass Cam Akers.
You got to drop him now, do you? Do you get rid of him? Like, what?
I mean, here's the question is, what are you dropping him for?
Well,
I mean, I guess my question would be, what is the option?
Tyler Algier?
I don't know. I mean, I get it, but that's going to be a gross split. There's no way they just hand that workload all the way to Algier.
No, there isn't. It's not like the list of running backs that I have listed as potentially available are yuck. Like, you're not going to drop him for Naheem Hines. Although
God,
Naheem
no.
Hines, I know that they're saying Jonathan Taylor is going to go, but depending on how severe that injury is, Hines may eventually get some totes. So you may want to keep him on a look list, but he's not long term. Not a fantasy option.
As somebody that is a North Carolina native and has literally seen Naheem Hines since he was in high school, he blows dead bears. He is not somebody that you want on any fantasy team ever. But now the original question you asked, should you drop Cam Akers? I will give you a name, and you tell me if I'm crazy, because I would drop him outright for the name I'm about to say.
Okay.
Raheem Mostert.
Yes. That's number 2 on my list.
Raheem Mostert's my number 1 pickup of the week, and I don't really think it's all that close.
No. He's probably the best available option out there. There are a couple of wide receivers that I think are outside chances to be relevant, but Raheem Mostert, if he's available, you should absolutely be buying.
He's the number 1 running back in Miami.
He is.
I mean, we all understand that, right? I mean, I know you took Chase Edmonds higher. Mostert has outsnapped him.
Yeah.
Mostert has outcarried him, and they have gone almost dead even in targets. So if there's a Miami running back that you want, it is Raheem Mostert.
And given that Teddy Bridgewater is the quarterback for that team for at least the next week, probably 2, depending on how that goes. I mean, look, they're all under the microscope right now, obviously, in Miami, but I think that Mostert is probably going to get his opportunity in the coming weeks, especially against your Jets.
See, I think the Jets are the matchup where you don't want to play them.
Your Jets defense is sneaky.
It's good. It's sneaky good. Sneaky like a fax.
Yeah, I still can't get away from it. You play your best players available. If you're in a running back conundrum and you have Cam Akers, would you rather play Cam Akers this week over Mostert?
No, God, no. I mean, and the bad thing is it's not been from lack of work for Cam Akers. He's just sucked.
He's awful. He had flashes in his first year, and then he got hurt. And he came back, and people were like, they saw flashes again. But he wasn't, and when I say flashes, I mean a couple of plays, not whole games, just a couple of plays where he looked like a dude. And now I don't know what's going on. I don't know what it is. It can't just be OBJ on that offense that is missing, that is making this look like this, but it is gross.
You were talking about him this week against my Jets. Fun story. Jets are just outside of the top 10 against the run. Would you like to know who they've played against through 4 weeks?
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Joe Mixon, Najee Harris.
That's pretty pretty good running backs.
Pretty good set of running backs, and nobody's really done much against my old Jets, Jets. This week you will get to see the depth of my Jets wardrobe. Because I will not wear anything that is not Jet branded all week long.
That's perfect. You have to celebrate the victories when you get them.
Absolutely.
I'm feeling the same way right now.
We've got a few questions in the chat.
Perfect.
Does Justin Jefferson for St. Brown make sense? I mean, it does to me because for me, that's 2 top 5 wide receivers in fantasy football. I think St. Brown will be more consistent.
St. Brown has the floor.
No doubt. Justin Jefferson's going to have those boom-busty games because he is the deep threat.
I am still on JJ. I would probably not do it unless you had anything. If Jonna, if you got something else that was tossed in there, that might make sense. But just straight up 1 for 1.
That Raheem Mostert feller we were just talking about.
Yeah.
I would probably
Miles Sanders. Can you get Miles Sanders in there?
I don't know if you're going to get Miles Sanders after this week. As somebody that is fat and happy on Miles Sanders, I can tell you, you're not getting him from me.
Yeah, he's one of the guys that I'm buying. That Eagles schedule is cupcake.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you look at it.
The Eagles are going to go like 15-2.
Week 12 they have the Packers, and I don't think they have a horribly competitive game until then. The Cowboys, maybe because they're division rivals, but I don't see them getting beat until week 12, where they'll have where they'll finally have competition.
John elaborated, said, got offered a package of Justin Jefferson, Hunter Renfrow, Kyle Pitts for Saquon Barkley, Tyler Higbee, and Zay Jones. I'm going to is it Zay Jones? Because if it's Zay Jones, I could not have accepted that fast enough.
Yeah, I think I'd be in on that.
And I love Saquon. I don't care.
He's having a resurgence.
Paul Richardson asked, Jahan Dotson or Garrett Wilson this week, half-point PPR. Garrett Wilson every week. He is a start every week.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was afraid that the target share would go down when my little boyfriend, Zach Wilson, showed up. It didn't.
You should know that Zach Wilson likes to share. Everything from moms to wide receivers, he's sharing.
Here's the thing. Don't let your mom see that video of him doing the gritty.
Listen. Sharing is caring, and Zach Wilson will tell you that.
Bingo. So, yes, I will say Garrett Wilson every single week. Lisa asked, week 2, should I start Damian Harris, Kareem Hunt, Damian Pierce, Jamal Williams? If there's no DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams is an every week start. Damian Pierce is an every week start. Every week. I will save the questions on Damian Pierce. He is an RB2 for the rest of the season. I do not care how bad that team is. That is how good he is.
I actually like some of the options there.
I do too. Lisa, you have the exact opposite problem of Tank. You draft well. He drafts poorly.
That's a unique to Tank problem. I have never seen somebody draft so poorly.
Bingo.
Usually the people that come in here and ask us questions, the wonderful fans that drop in and check us out early mornings, late afternoons, Sundays, and all of your weekday shows, show us rosters that look like they drafted against children. Meanwhile, Tank is like, do I play Naheem Hines or
Calvin Johnson? I still have Calvin Johnson on a roster. I don't know why.
He's like, I have Gronk rostered just in case. Awful.
Everybody in fantasy leagues with Tank looks at him and just says,
I like you, and I want you. And we can do it the easy way or the hard way. So the choice is yours.
Choice is yours. Legacy asked, would you do DeAndre Swift and Mike Williams for Dalvin Cook and Christian Kirk? I think both sides of that are good.
Yeah.
Though, I mean, the one thing about DeAndre Swift is you have to know that he breaks a mess of times.
If you're on the side receiving Cook and Kirk, that is
the better side to me.
Yeah.
Because Christian Kirk is a wide receiver 2 for the rest of the season, borderline wide receiver 1, and I think Dalvin Cook will be better.
Yeah. I not a fan of his production this past weekend, but those games happen.
While we're airing grievances, are you worried about Tony Pollard?
I'm worried about all of the Cowboys.
I think you should be. The Dallas Cowboys are the greatest mirage I think I've ever seen. And they are going to get eviscerated this week at the Rams.
Yes. The Rams are hungry.
So here's the thing about the Rams. Are they playing the San Francisco 49ers?
No.
Okay, then they're good.
Yeah. God, the Niners
By the way, I want to air a grievance that I got fucked in my own game because Tank threw me a bad line and nobody sided with me.
What line did he throw?
He threw 3 on New Orleans, Minnesota. You care to take a stab at how many books had that game at 3? There might have been one under a bridge somewhere, behind a what's that crap they give? A methadone clinic. There might have been one of those, but in every reputable book, it was 3.5 or 4, and I would have been right, and I would have won.
Yeah, the hook was important there.
It's the most important hook in all of gambling, and I got screwed on it, and I'm bitter.
Yeah.
To me, Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott are 2 players that I'm trying to get rid of. Next 4 weeks, they go at the Rams, at the Eagles, Lions, Bears, and then go Packers, Vikings, Giants, Colts.
I'm selling any Dallas Cowboy not named Michael Gallup, and I'm close on Michael Gallup.
And I'm selling CeeDee Lamb aggressively.
Selling CeeDee Lamb high. People will pay out the nose for him because he's CeeDee Lamb.
And I'll tell you a player that I would be chasing like hell because I promise you there is somebody out there that thinks they have found gold in James Robinson that has now dinkled in his pants because he was not good last week.
Yep.
James Robinson is an aggressive buy.
Colin Green just put it in the chat. Would you guys swap Taylor for James Robinson this week with Jamal Williams, formerly Fat Jamal Williams, as RB2? Yes.
I'm afraid Jonathan Taylor's not going to play. It's short week.
They're saying he's in. I've heard multiple sources now this morning,
and I've heard the same thing. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a little wary of him. Not that he won't put on a jersey, but that he won't be on the field nearly as much as you want him to be.
He could be on a snap count,
and that's my fear.
I would be watching that real closely, Colin. I don't like benching Taylor ever because
I don't either. And this is a good matchup against the Denver defense is going to be missing Randy Gregory.
Yeah,
but as was pointed out, I believe it was Chris D that pointed out, player studs always and forever.
Yeah,
it will burn you when you sit Austin Eckler in what should have been a bad matchup, should have been a Mike Williams week, but it was Austin Eckler.
Goddamn Austin Eckler.
Speaking of Austin Eckler, you buying it?
No,
I'm not either.
I think that Austin Eckler is a fantasy start 9 out of 10 times. I think that he is a consistent performer, and you will usually get like 3 or 4 of these games. And every year, you and I are on the same page of this, which is he's a receiving back, so in full point PPR, he's going to get you points, but he's not the run it down your throat guy, and
it was all game script. He had 19 touches for 109 yards. He just so happened to get in the end zone 3 times.
3 tutties are going to put you over.
Fact or fiction, this will be his highest scoring game of the year.
Fact.
I would tend to agree. And looking at that Chargers schedule, look, there's a sweet spot with the Broncos, Seahawks, and Falcons coming up, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not that scared of the Browns. The Atlanta Falcons managed to run on the Browns, so now that was with no Myles Garrett. I get that.
If you're the owner of Austin Eckler and you can get Alvin Kamara, make that deal.
100%. I am getting a shitload of questions about Alvin Kamara. It is going to work itself out.
Do we have that? Who's the guy that does all the buy and sell?
Jim Cramer?
Yeah, we need the buy bullhorns right now.
Done.
Smash that button.
I will have that for next week.
Because we are big time high on Alvin Kamara. If you can buy Alvin Kamara, buy as many shares as you can. They held him out this week. I think he probably could have went. I think he probably could have played, but it's
London. You got a bye week coming up, and he will be fine after the bye week.
Let him rest up.
I have bought so many shares of Alvin Kamara that now I must say
I'm broke as shit, and I don't mind saying it.
It's fine.
You got to do it.
It's fine. John, I asked, no quarterback. Who should I pick up? Geno Smith, Zach Wilson, Daniel Jones, Derek Carr. Daniel Jones is a no from me, dog.
Daniel Jones, So look, I have Daniel Jones in Dynasty because I needed a quarterback, and I had Eli when Eli was still in. This is how long I've been in this league. It's Dynasty. If you don't know it, don't even start to chirp me. I don't want to hear it. Derek Carr, who's he got this week for a matchup? Because I might be on Carr here.
If I'm playing the matchups this week, the Las Vegas Raiders play this week.
The
Las
Chiefs on Monday. No. Geno Smith, I guess, against the Saints. That's rough.
Ew.
Can you get Kenny Pickett?
God, you know what really pisses me off? What really grinds my gears? The fact that Minnesota and New Orleans have to play this week.
Yeah.
After the London week.
Why isn't that a bye?
It has been every other single time we've ever done this. And yet this week they went, you know what? You go over the pond and you go fuck yourself.
Before they went, they also should have been on the Thursday game before that. Give them full rest.
I mean, one would think. Scheduling's fun.
We're tough here. We're tough.
My answer to that would be I don't like Geno Smith against New Orleans, even though I think that'll be a sludge game.
Zach Wilson, I suppose. Based on the four you have listed there, it's Zach Wilson.
And I don't know that it's all that close. Smith. Where do you have Zach Wilson this week?
I haven't done a full look, but against Miami's defense has been good.
Has it, though?
I would have Wilson probably 14.
I have him 15.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I have him 15. I had a Carson Wentz. I had a Geno Smith. Mariota, basically every guy you just asked me there.
Yeah.
Derek Carr will be in my top 10. I think that's a shootout game. But you have to understand, especially if you're in a league that punishes you aggressively for picks, I'm not going to love that.
Yeah.
Colin Green asked, are we high on Dobbins this week? I'm high on Dobbins every week.
Every week. Unless he's hurt, I'm high on Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins is my top 20 this week.
Unfortunately, Dobbins is hurt frequently, but I am always high on Dobbins. And this is, God, the Ravens are in trouble because their schedule is not friendly.
No, it's not.
Bengals this week? Oof. Oof.
Who would have thought before this season started that we would have Bengals-Ravens in week 5 and the loser would be 2-3?
The loser is going to have...
The loser's in hell.
A tough match, yeah.
The loser is in hell.
Yeah. And I think you've mentioned it on the ESPN show that this is the Bengals division to win.
Just me on the ESPN show today, by the way.
Yeah.
This will be our swan song for Caleb Peake.
Oh.
Somebody saw the value in Caleb Peake and offered him a shitload of money.
Well,
and a wonderful job, and we are very happy for him.
Pour one out for Caleb. Excellent fill-in, but yeah.
Oh, and he's going to do great things. I will let him disclose where he is headed and what he is doing, but very talented kid. Nobody deserves it more, and we're very happy for him. Satisfied Browns fan said, what the hell happened last night with the Rams? That secondary and offensive line is washed. That offensive line sucks. And the San Francisco 49ers figured it out early of there is nothing to be scared of here except Cooper Kupp. Can I say something about Cooper Kupp that I've said before, and I think last night really put it on full display?
Go ahead.
Is he not the emptiest stat accumulator you've ever seen?
Yes, he's a straight-up fantasy machine. People loved him because in that offense last year, he would always go off. And people love that. But I believe, and I don't know if this ever made it out or not, you and I did wide receivers pre-season. And I didn't have Cooper Kupp as my number one in fantasy.
I didn't either.
But I just don't see how you can't, like, he just gets, it's the Carson Wentz effect. You're down 20-something in the fourth quarter. Of course you're going to get the ball.
Well, I mean, he just gets 1 billion targets. But, I mean, he had 19 targets last night, had 122 yards, and it did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, San Francisco basically just looked at him like, you keep doing that. As soon as you
That
get in the
was
red
Brady
zone,
for him.
you can't score, and we know it.
That's Brady on that Sunday nighter. Just empty stats.
I hope I am not fucking this name up. Jugraj Pata. Please let me know in the chat if I messed your name up. I don't like doing that. We're like an AA meeting for sports. Feel free to throw your drug of choice into the chat. Mine's always been Devontae Parker. Should I?
Touchdown this past week.
He did. He didn't mean to, but he did. Should I get rid of Devontae Adams? God no. Kyle Pitts? God
Never.
no. This is a trade. Sorry, I didn't see the 4.
Okay.
And Juju for Deontay Johnson, Keenan Allen, Miles Sanders, Dalton Schultz.
Oh no.
I'm gonna say no.
It's close, but no.
That brings up another topic that we need to talk about. Is Kenny Pickett somebody you're chasing as a quarterback?
No.
Me neither. Does he make you feel better about anybody in Pittsburgh?
George Pickens.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
George Pickens is your number one target is Raheem Mostert. My number one target is George Pickens.
And you know what? I don't fault you for that at all because George Pickens is my 2.
He's the only other guy that I think there's. I mean, look, you could Hayden Hurst and Robert Tunyon, all okay to pick up, but I think that we saw that Pickett likes Pickens, and he's going to get target share. And if I were anybody that owned, I don't know, say a certain Canadian on the Steelers, I would maybe be looking at shipping him off.
A Canadian for the Steelers. Oh, Chase Claypool?
Chase Claypool.
Yeah, I'm Seacrest out on Chase Claypool. The talent is there, but he's a head case.
Trade him.
Yeah, I would
trade. Wide receiver in Pittsburgh? Are you kidding me?
I would trade Chase Claypool right now straight up for George Pickens. I wouldn't think about it twice.
Yes.
This would be also a time where I am by law required to say Tyler Conklin is only 40% owned in leagues. How the fuck is that possible?
I don't know, because people forget about him.
How is that possible? Tight end is god awful. God awful.
Well, yeah, it falls off a cliff in a hurry. In a hurry.
Do you know how many tight ends in fantasy football have scored more in PPR than Tyler Conklin?
3.
He is 8. It's Pat Freiermouth, Gerald Everett, Tyler Higbee, Zach Ertz, T.J. Hockenson, Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce. End of message. Repeat the line.
Don't understand.
The list of tight ends he has scored more than: Dallas Goedert, Darren Waller, Robert Tunyon, Logan Thomas, Irv Smith, Kyle Pitts. Why is he that low owned? I don't get it. Let's see. Pennywise asked flex Bateman or Juju this week.
Bateman?
I'm going to go Juju. I don't love it.
Conk on the end there. You have Conklin in there? You put Conklin in there.
If Conklin's an answer, then that's the way I would go.
Conklin. Yeah.
Chris D asked what I think is a tremendous question. Mike Boone or Latavius Murray?
Wow. That's a deep league.
I'd say I don't think it is. I don't think it is, and I'll tell you why. Melvin Gordon is not going to get as much run as people think. No. He cannot hold on to the ball. He has 5 fumbles in his last 17 carries.
I think it's probably Boone.
I'm speculative adding Mike Boone in any deeper league. Anything that is not a standard 12 team with a standard bench. I think he's right on the precipice in a standard 12 team league. But if you're in a 16 teamer, Mike Boone's go get him. Because if you're right, you're at the very worst going to have a trade chip for whoever has Melvin Gordon. Because somebody does.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's Mike Boone over Murray, but not by a ton.
Do you think Melvin Gordon's role changes at all with Javonte Williams out?
No.
I don't either.
No.
I feel like it's going to be some split, and whoever they feel the best about it will be Mike Boone early, and if Mike Boone can seize that job, I could actually see him be the starter.
This happened in Seattle a couple of years ago, too.
Mm-hmm.
And Penny, someone went down. I forget who it was that went down in front of Rashad Penny. Penny got up. And
it was Chris Carson.
The job. Carson, right. So Carson goes down, Penny comes in, Penny takes the job, Penny's job. This is how football works for the most part, unless you're in, somewhere insane like Arizona.
Tyler, that's a name I haven't seen before. We're like an AA meeting for sports. Feel free to throw your drug of choice in the comments. Right now, minus Cam Akers. Should I trade away A.J. Dillon for DeAndre Swift PPR?
No.
I would. In PPR, I will take DeAndre Swift. I don't care that he's hurt all the time. And I love A.J. Dillon. I just made a very large trade for him not long ago. But if somebody's willing to give you DeAndre Swift, I'm buying.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about the injuries, and that's it.
And the injuries are a concern, no doubt.
Your greatest asset in fantasy is availability, and if he's not available, it's useless to me. So,
and I don't agree with that, or I don't disagree with that. I just look at DeAndre Swift and go, you know what? If you told me he plays 10 games, I would say he probably ends as a back-end RB1, even only playing 12 or 13 games.
Yeah.
And as long as I have him for the push, which I think you will, I'm fine. Jameson Ellison asked, pick 2 PPR running backs. Sanders, Jacobs, Kamara.
If Kamara's a go, it's Sanders and Kamara.
I agree. I think the Josh Jacobs thing was an aberration.
I think Josh Jacobs is an excellent fantasy back. And
As do I.
And I think if McDaniels figures out what to do with him, then he should be worth it. If you have the ability to trade Jacobs right now, and
do it.
You can get some incredible value. Do it.
I've seen people trade Jacobs for Kamara straight up, and I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you've got, I said something about the bye with New Orleans. It is early, but I can't remember when it is.
The Saints have their bye.
It's not as early as I thought. God, they got screwed. Week 10, I think.
Holy.
No, it's not
week 14.
Good God.
Yeah.
The NFL hates the Saints.
It really does. It really, truly does.
But, yeah, I would agree with Armchair. I would go Sanders, Kamara, and I would be trying to trade Josh Jacobs at the highest side of his market. He had 33 touches against the Raiders. Or against the Broncos, excuse me. A, I don't want him doing that. B, he will never do it again.
No.
Colin Green, I said, I love how Latavius Murray was the best spark our offense has seen besides Olave, and we just let him walk to the Broncos. That's how practice squads work. I mean, it sucks, and I get it. And I would have put him on the active roster ahead of the marking ram, but mainly because I think the marking ram is completely gassed.
Yeah. As are most running backs that are his age.
47 years old. Chris D, pick up Rashad White over Algier and the Denver running backs. I don't know what to do with Rashad White.
I don't. Yuck.
Because Todd Bowles is like a child that just discovered his wiener. He either plays with it all the time or he's afraid that somebody's looking at him and never plays with it.
I like Algier better if they continue to use him the way they did last week.
I feel like the Atlanta split is going to be an aggressive split.
Yeah.
I mean, after Cordero went down, it wasn't like you got a ton of clarity on how this was going to go.
Yeah.
Because Caleb Huntley had 10 carries. Tyler Algier had 10 carries.
I don't think they know what they're doing in Atlanta.
Oh, I do. And Algier's the better of the two backs. I'm not touching Caleb Huntley. I would pick up Algier just on the premise of how good it actually could be, because I think he's a very good running back.
I think the great unknown is what's going to scare you away from Rashad White.
I mean, the thing about Rashad White is I just don't know how it's going to go week to week. Now, if something ever happened to Leonard Fournette, he's the guy.
Yeah.
Because it's very obvious they don't trust anybody else.
Absolutely.
Todd Bowles is a dipshit.
Yes, he is.
I have to throw that out there because I don't get to say that on the ESPN show, and I wanted to say it here.
So is Nathaniel Hackett.
Correct. Paul Richardson asked, flex J.K. or Juju? It's J.K. Dobbins by a lot for me.
All day, every day.
Chris D, drop Darrell Henderson or Ken Walker for any of the waiver guys already discussed. Previous running backs and Pickens available. I can't say I would drop Darrell Henderson. I think you can drop Kenny Walker safely, though.
Yeah, if it's not a dynasty league or a keeper, drop him.
I mean, Kenny Walker is going to be, I think, will be a good running back in time.
Yep.
Rashad Penny has just been so damn effective that, I mean, what are you supposed to do? A guy that's averaging 9 yards a carry, you're supposed to sit him down for somebody that's averaging 3.5?
No.
So I don't know that he will have any value all year long. Now, the Darrell Henderson thing, that one gets a little difficult for me. I have long said the myth that Sean McVay just runs up and down the field doing nothing, just passing 78 times a game is a myth. And it is a myth because he's very balanced. He runs a lot. Darrell Henderson and Cam Akers are still in an aggressive split. But I think at some point you have to figure out Cam Akers is not good.
34 rushes for Henderson and 138 yards. It's a 4.1 yard per carry.
Mm-hmm.
38 rushes for Akers at 118 yards. It's a full yard per carry less. Like it's you just at some point you have to go. Henderson's the better of the two, and start shifting that split. Do you not?
I believe so.
I think McVay's smart enough to know that too. I think he was trying to see what Akers has after basically nothing.
Well, I mean, if you take away the Arizona game, Cam Akers has been just horrendously bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would not drop Darrell Henderson because I think at some point Sean McVay's a smart guy and he'll figure out that's the only running back he really has on his roster. I would drop Kenny Walker, and I would Mostert, Algier, George Pickens, and I would go Mostert, Pickens, Algier in that order.
Yep.
Running backs are just harder to find.
Yeah.
I mean, people are speculatively adding Brian Robinson. That should tell you how desperate we are for running backs.
People are adding Isaiah Pacheco.
And I get it. I think Isaiah Pacheco should be rostered.
He should.
I'm going to go out of order on questions here just because you brought up Isaiah Pacheco. Someone's trying to trade Isaiah Pacheco for Michael Carter, my player. I really want to get him versus the Raiders. I don't blame you. And I will tell you, Michael Carter is a good player, and he will have he will have a role with the Jets. Obviously, the Jets are my team, so I know this team pretty well.
Yep.
The split with Carter is going exactly how I thought it would. It started 50-50. It has leaned to Breece Hall every single week. Michael Carter now is more of the receiving back, and Breece Hall does that well too.
Yeah.
So I personally would trade Michael Carter for Pacheco because the upside on Pacheco is higher.
Yes.
If you don't have Breece Hall. Now, if you have Breece Hall, it's a completely different story. Because Michael Carter is the handcuff, and if anything ever happened to Breece Hall, he would be very valuable.
Absolutely.
Jameson Ellison picked 2 wide receivers and a flex, T. Chiggins, so the Thiggins, Deontay Johnson, Chris Godwin, Miles Sanders, A.J. Dillon.
T. Chiggins. Oh, God, that's gross.
Sanders, Dillon.
Yeah, it's got to go Sanders, Dillon.
Actually, no, you got to pick 2 receivers.
That's what I'm saying. Sanders is in your flex.
Yes, and I'll go Thiggins, Godwin.
I think you have to.
I mean, the Buccaneers are throwing the ball at an aggressively high rate.
52 attempts for Brady last week.
Which is non-sustainable, but I'll ride it while I can.
Yep.
John asked, should I pick up Latavius Murray from waivers, or should I go pick up Huntley, Gainwell, or Boone? For me, I think Boone gets the first crack at that job because Melvin Gordon cannot stop fumbling, and it'll just be a 50-50 split. I mean, I'm not jumping up and down about any of them, but if I had to pick one of those, it would be Mike Boone, and I would be curious who you're dropping.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that.
Ben Malik asked, I traded Dalvin Cook for Josh Jacobs. Good move. A, you're a Raiders fan. B, you now have the most fantasy-relevant player on your team, on your roster. Do I think over the course of the year Dalvin Cook's not going to outscore Josh Jacobs? No. I would say Cook probably outscores him. But you're going to have big weeks. And I would say, based off what I just saw, your one win came with 33 touches for Josh Jacobs. Josh McDaniels, I'm sure, saw that too. And there's not a whole lot of competition for touches. There is competition for touches with Cook.
Yep.
So that's a risky move, but I don't think it's a bad move.
No, it's not bad. It's just I don't know if I would have done it, but I think it's fine.
Pennywise asked, Darren Waller or Pat Fryermuth, my tight end 2. My tight end 1 is George Kittle. Pennywise has abided by the Jeremy Greene philosophy of drafting, which is I want all the fucking tight ends because if I have them, you can't have them.
Give me all the tight ends.
I'm going to put out a manifesto about that before next year. It has become – I am drilling people in leagues that I did that in. I mean, I've said this on the show before. I'm in 37 leagues. I did that in 6 of them, where I have some combination of 2 or more of the top 8 tight ends. You care to take a stab at what my record is in those? I think it's 6. I think I just said 7 though.
Fantastic. What is it?
4 weeks. I have 4 losses across 6 teams. Because I am 20 points ahead of you at tight end every single week.
Oh, man.
It's the greatest advantage I've ever seen.
I fully concur, and that's why I usually draft tight ends.
Ben Malik was talking about the shoulder issues with Dalvin Cook. I agree. You do have to know that there are injury concerns with him. Have been, will be. That'll continue to happen. Just a couple minutes left here with you, Mr. Canadan Armchair Commentary.
Pennywise, with that Waller Fryermuth question, I think I'm leaning Waller because of the matchup. I don't know where the Chiefs rank against tight ends. It's the only thing that.
Well, I mean, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to get fucking drilled.
I don't think that Buffalo is a great matchup.
It's not. I would go Waller as well.
Yeah.
Anything else you would like to throw out there that we have not touched on, Mr. Armchair?
Yeah. Buy Miles Sanders. Buy him. And don't buy any Chicago Bear that isn't Khalil Herbert, I guess. Darnell Mooney had a good game. If you have him, sell him.
Absolutely. Darnell Mooney is completely irrelevant.
Sell.
Who are your favorite buys and sells this week?
Alvin Kamara is my number 1 buy.
He would be mine as well. Or he's not necessarily my number 1, but he's very high.
I guess any if you can get your hands on Sanders without, having to give overpants HJs, I don't know if that's possible. Sanders is I think they finally figured out what they're doing in Philadelphia, and that schedule is beautiful. Sanders is going to get a lot of love, so Sanders is a buy. My sells are Buccaneers in general, and I am pretty well out on what the Falcons have this year. If you have,
I kind of like the Falcons. I think Kyle Pitts is going to bounce back.
My only issue is Mariota's throwing hardly at all.
Yeah, that does make me nervous, but I see a path that Desmond Ridder is going to be in sooner than later.
And that's, I guess, if you're holding, you can diamond hands this Falcons thing as long as you can. I'm not there.
Chris D.
I'm your huckleberry.
With our first super chat of the day, said, thanks, fellas. 3 more questions. Start 3. Pittman, Christian Kirk, Mike Williams, Garrett Wilson. So basically sit one of those 3.
Sit Pittman?
That's what I would say. He's the only weapon, and everybody they play knows it.
Yeah. Mike Williams is a start. Garrett Wilson's always a start, and Christian Kirk is.
I can't sit any of those 3 down. I would be, and I would love to say I'd be trying to trade Pittman, but I do think he's going to bounce back once they figure this offense out. It's just the offense is so damn bad.
Yep.
Flex Ramondre or Brandon Cooks.
Brandon Cooks. I like Ramondre, but I'm in on Brandon Cooks.
And I would go Ramondre. I can't trust anything passing for the Houston Texans.
I know you can't.
As long as long neck Giraffe Davis Mills is their quarterback, I'm Seacrest out. And then the final question, should I drop the Rams defense for a waiver wire defense? Oh, good God, no.
Don't do it.
Oh, good God, no. look at the Rams' schedule. In the next 2 months, they play the Panthers, they play the Cardinals, the Saints, the Seahawks. And yes, there is some Chiefs in there. There's another game with the 49ers. I'll be honest with you, I think the matchup with the Cowboys this week is a good one, and they are going to drill them.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll go rapid fire here. Is Amon-Ra back? I think he will be back this week. That's from Bill Buttigieg. Colin Green asked, A.J. Dillon or Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Oh, God, that's gross.
CEH, I guess.
I don't want to, but I agree.
Yeah.
Look, he's not a good real-life NFL running back. He is a good fantasy running back, and I have to admit that.
Yep.
JT56, trade request for Josh Jacobs, Mac Hollins. In exchange, I received Jonathan Taylor, KJ Osborne. It's a 20-man league. Absolutely. I wouldn't even think about it.
Yeah.
In a 20-man league, you get the best player. That is always the right answer. I don't care about the ancillary parts. Because once you get into the depth of it, the scoring is so much lower in a league like that if you have somebody that is a week in, week out, no doubt contributor, this week notwithstanding, you always take that side. 10-man PPR, I'm 1-3. This is from Quinn Lenardi. He's got Dak, Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, Mike Evans, Waddle, Deontay, Schultz, Conklin, Penny, Sanders. Good Jesus. That's a good team to be 1-3. Unfortunately, had Javonte. What is your advice?
Start Conklin.
Start Conklin. Conklin is Conklin is your tight end every single week. I would be trying to trade Schultz. Your receivers are really good. You're really deep at running back.
You need a quarterback.
Yeah, I would be trying to parlay one of those running backs into a quarterback in a 2-for-1. Which one am I lowest on? I don't think it's sustainable with Seattle. I'd be trying to trade Rashad Penny. Yeah. Trying to get some combination of I would say some combination of a quarterback and a wide receiver. You're good at running back. I mean, you're good at wide receiver too. And I would pair it with Deontay Johnson, who I don't like at all with Kenny Pickett.
Same.
And then last question, Armchair's got to get out of here because he's got a real-life big boy job. Bill Buttigieg, this might sound crazy, but should I flex Olave or Amon-Ra if he's healthy? Amon-Ra will always be the winner for me. And Olave's great too.
No disrespect to Olave. It's just Amon-Ra's got a higher boom ceiling.
Amon-Ra's a top 5 guy every single week.
Yeah.
All right, we got to get out of here. I have a meeting. Armchair has a real-life big boy job.
Yeah.
We thank all of you for joining us here for the Mullet Man and the Canadan. And I feel like we could probably do another one of these for the week's out. So check our social medias, the Twitters, the Facebooks, and we'll let you know the next time we come in for one of these for a Fix Your Team.
If you're looking for us, make sure to follow us on the socials, and by all means, if you have questions beforehand you want answering, make sure you join the House of Reprehensibles. You can get them into the Discord. We might be able to answer them a little quicker, or you can hit that little super chatty button.
Bingo! I think there's probably a Thursday Mullets mailbag ahead of us. Ooh. For Armchair Commentary, he is the Canadan. I am Jeremy Greene of ESPN Radio. I am the Mullet Man. We thank you for joining us, and I will see you this afternoon for NFL Power Rankings at 3 Eastern Time with Mr. Caleb Peak.